This is Victoria Gibson, and you're listening to the Human Design Powered Business Podcast. Welcome to this episode. Hey, have you ever read your social media or your bio or your about page or some caption you spent ages writing and thought, who is this person? Because even though you wrote it, your name's on it, your face is next to it, still you just left feeling a bit confused. Maybe a bit worried. Does this land? Does this make sense? Like, will anyone even care, pay attention, let alone take action and buy? You know that feeling, because today I'm going to tell you why it happens. And it's not because you haven't got the right formula. In a previous episode, I gave it a name, the quiet drain of compromise. And today I want to show you the first place that drain shows up and the first place you can stop the leak. Because it's hiding in your human design, but we'll get to that. First, let's talk about how this happens, because I don't think you did anything wrong. In fact, I think you did everything right. Now, here's the thing about doing everything right. You studied, you paid attention, you watched the people who are apparently crushing it, and you took notes. You bought the course, you joined the membership, you watched the reel where she explained her exact hook formula and you thought, brilliant, I'll do that. And then more recently, you did what we all started doing. You opened up the old AI. You pasted in your messy, real human words, the ones that actually sound like you, maybe a little unpolished, and you said, make this better, make it more professional, make it sound like the people who know what they're doing. And it gave you something back. It was fine. It sounds like content and it took way less time and thinking than ever before. Hallelujah. So you posted it or you almost posted it and somewhere in there was that seed of doubt again. It's not really me. Is that what I really want to say? And here's what happened. You poured you in the top and what came out the other end was an average of the entire internet wearing your name badge. And that's what these tools do when you hand them the wheel. They're trained on everyone, on every coach, on every consultant, every creative expert who's ever written a single word online. So when you ask it to make you sound good, it makes you sound like all of them. It takes off every specific edge that made you sound like you because those edges are statistically unusual. And that big machine, it's built to give you the most likely next word, not the most you one. And I've got a name for what it hands you back. I call it the Claude composite cliche. A composite, like one of those sketches made of 100 different faces. It resembles everyone and it looks like no one. You put your soul in and you get back vanilla. And look, this is not me telling you AI is the enemy and you should throw your laptop in the bin. I use these tools. I love these tools. They're really useful and helpful. The problem isn't the tool. The problem isn't AI. The problem is handing it a blank page and asking it to decide who you are. Because AI is incredible when it's got your truth in it, when it's helping you say the thing you already know in your heart faster. But it's really not so great when you use it as one more person to outsource your voice to, one more expert, one more borrowed blueprint. And that's not the tool's problem. Like I said, that's a compromise. The newest, fastest, easiest way to compromise your voice ever invented. One click and your truth gets traded for what's statistically safe. So that's compromise number one. But it started long before AI, because here's the other thing that happens when you spend years studying what's working now, you get good at it, really good. You study it all so closely, you absorb all of it, and one day you look up and you realize you've become a really, really well-researched version of somebody else's brand, and what you really want to say and share stays hidden. Covered in doubt and questioning, it never sees the light of day. And you don't even notice it happening because every individual decision made sense. Of course, you're going to model best practice and study successful people. It sounds really smart, and it is in some way, but nobody tells you the cost. Every time you put on a little bit of someone else's brand, their words, their structure, their writing style, you're taking off a bit of yours. That's the compromise. Each one reasonable, each one small. And you do that 100 times over 3 years and you end up blocking your own truth. Why the magic's been sucked right out of your message and your business. And it's no doubt reflected in your engagement and audience. And there's a third compromise, and this is the one that really gets people because it's disguised as something good. It's the compliments. You get praised. People say lovely things, but the stuff you get praised for is often the stuff that bores you. The most sensible, safe, on-trend part of what you do. Somebody tells you your carousel about 5 productivity tips was so helpful and you want to lie down because that carousel was the safe stuff that you thought they wanted to hear. Meanwhile, the thing you said off the cuff in a voice note to a friend, the weird specific take that lit you up, nobody saw it because you never posted it. Too risky, not on brand. So you're responding to what you think they want, softening your edges to keep everyone comfortable. And every one of those moments is another quiet compromise. And when you're always in response and the AI keeps handing you that vanilla and the only stuff getting praised is your most boring work, what do you think happens to your impact? What do you think happens to your income? And here's the part I totally get because I did it too. You're not blaming the censoring of yourself. You're not blaming the borrowed formula. You blame yourself. You assume that you can't share and say your truth. Or maybe you think your audience isn't ready for it. Maybe you think it's not designed to sell or create engagement on social media. So you look for maybe another course, another certification, another mentor who finally give you the thing that you're missing. And you go and get more of exactly what caused the problem. Another borrowed blueprint, another compromise, and the drain keeps happening. That drain of energy, that drain of excitement, and that drain of your potential. Now, this is where it turns around because the reason that doesn't work isn't because you don't have enough knowledge or skills. It's that every compromise has been covering the one thing that actually sells. It's that you've been trying to build a brand and your brand was never something you build. Your brand is something you already are. It's likely that your message feels forced or missing the mark because you've been sharing some external essence instead of expressing your own. And that essence, the magnetism that makes the right people recognize you the instant they land on you, that has a name. It's the first of what I call your 6 cash flow keys. It's your calling key. Your calling key is your magnetic brand essence. It's the frequency of you, the one thing that makes your dream clients go, "Huh," before they've even seen what you got on offer. And here's what gets lost. It's not something that AI can give you. It's not something you can rote learn from a textbook. It's already encoded in you. It's in your human design. It's been there since before you were even born, waiting for you to stop covering it up and start trusting it. And I know the second I say human design, some of you wonder, is it real? Is it woo? Well, here's my honest answer, the only one I've got. I know it's real because it's so incredibly useful. That's it. It works. It's a map. And it's a map back to the one thing everyone's always been trying to talk you out of, including you. And that's you. Let me show you what a compromise actually costs in dollars. Take my client, Carly. For years, Carly was a traditional chiropractor, a good one with her own busy clinic. Full appointment book, charging session by session, capped by the hours in her day, and by every external metric, fine. Successful. But the clinic was a compromise and it was costing her millions. An accepted compromise, a expected compromise, not a mistake, not a failure, a compromise. She was doing the thing she'd been trained to do, inside the box she'd been handed. The qualification, the clinic, the model, everyone expected of her. Adjustment, rebooking, repeat. Because Carly's calling key is the initiator. She's not here to adjust spine session by session. She's the teacher who's here to wake people up, to help them go deeper and find real healing, not just an adjustment and a rebooking. The clinic wasn't wrong. It was just a fraction of her and her impact. And the rest of her, the biggest part, the part that was born to teach and transform and awaken others to move their pain into power, was sitting unused, quietly draining away year after year while she kept the peace with everyone's expectations, including her own. So she stopped compromising. She closed her clinic. She created her own modality, the spinal flow technique, her own method for helping people who carry stress and trauma as pain find freedom and peace and healing in their body. And she started teaching it. And she has now taught that technique to thousands of people. She has generated millions of dollars in revenue, not by following what was expected, not by working more hours, by becoming the very thing she already was. Because the millions were already mapped in her design. The compromise was the cost of not knowing if she stayed in the box, just the chiropractor, session by session, maxed out by the hours in the day, she'd have sidestepped every bit of it. The impact, the income, and the peace that comes from true and lasting prosperity. That doesn't happen from better marketing alone. That is driven by embracing your calling key. That's what it's for. It's a recognition that pulls the right people towards you without having to convince or chase or shout louder than the whole internet. And you can't create that kind of natural impact by learning more, becoming more qualified, compromising yourself, or keeping yourself small. You get there by uncovering and expressing what's already inside you and was all along, your truth. So everything you've been feeling, any confusion, bland AI output, the boredom, getting praised for your most boring work, the sales going quiet and then blaming yourself for all of it, that's the quiet drain of compromise showing up in your message first. You've been trying to build a brand instead of expressing the one you already are. And the first layer of that, your magnetic essence, waiting to be understood, is your calling key. This is less about acquiring new abilities and trying to meet expectations, and more about removing the compromises that have been obscuring your calling key. Your calling key is the first of 6. There are 6 cash flow keys in the Profit Code Blueprint, and every one of them is hidden in your human design. And each of yours represents your unique style, your magnetic essence, and your inner money mechanics. I can teach you what a calling key is. I can tell you that mine's simplicity, Carly's is the initiator, and you can discover yours too. And that's exactly what your Profit Code Blueprint is for. You put in the details, you get back an instant personalized report that decodes your cash flow keys from your birth details and human design, starting with your calling key. It's the first step in boosting real impact and income without more marketing or hours worked. Not your funnel, not your qualifications, not the composite Claude hands back to you. Your unmistakable essence. That's what creates more impact and income naturally. So read it tonight with a cup of tea, phone face down somewhere else. Start with your calling key. Notice what relaxes you when you read it. Notice what confronts you too, because both are clues. And this is just the first layer of having a profitable personal brand that lasts. But it's a layer everything else is built on, because you can't express an essence you haven't uncovered yet. And you can't create value from an essence you haven't unlocked. So go and meet yours. The link's in the notes. Find out what your calling key actually is and ask yourself this week just one question. What's my version of Carly's clinic? Then come back next time, because there's a second cash flow key waiting within your human design. And it's the one that explains how to stop attracting the wrong clients. I'll tell you more next time. Thanks for joining me on this episode. If you want to dive deeper and get the practical path to leverage your human design and turn energy blocks into business breakthroughs, then you're going to want to see my latest class. Make sure you head to victoriagibson.com and click on the Watch the Class tab, and you can uncover more about what is encoded within your energetic blueprint and how you can harness it for unlimited success and to step into your true potential. I cannot wait to see you over there.